Hello and welcome to the video. It's pumpkin time. We bought 4 pumpkins at Halloween and we grew 1 pumpkin and we never carved them. We never turned them into jack-o'-lanterns because it was too warm and they would have just been rotting food on the front steps of the house. So now, in preparation for Thanksgiving, it's pumpkin butchering time. So I canned some pumpkin and I cooked some just by cutting the pumpkin up and cooking it in the microwave, and then I pureed it in the NutriBullet. So right there I have a bowl of pureed pumpkin and I'm putting it in baggies so that I can freeze it. Oh my gosh, I don't know if you can hear that, but the dog, he's moaning. Oh my gosh, because I'm rubbing his stomach. If you could hear that in the background, that was so weird. Anyway, I thought it wasn't going to be that messy a process, but I made just a huge mess of that. But I froze the pumpkin puree in 2 cup servings. 2 cups is what I would need for pumpkin pie, and 1 cup will be what we're going to need for today's recipe, which is the very best pumpkin bread in the whole wide world. So we are starting with 2 cups of flour. And yes, you don't need to use, and yes, you don't. And yes, we have no bananas today. And yes, you don't need to use those little small pie pumpkins or this little special sweet pumpkins or whatever they're called. These are just regular big ass Halloween pumpkins that you would use for carving a jack-o'-lantern. So we have our 2 cups of flour. We have just shy of a cup of sugar. About a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, about half a teaspoon of salt, all together being our dry ingredients. Then I'm putting in about 1/3 of a cup of avocado oil, or whatever your fat of choice is. That is what will help keep your quick breads moist. Don't skimp on the fat. The recipe calls for 3 large eggs, and my eggs aren't that big, so I'm using 4 eggs, 4 medium eggs. We have the oven preheating to 350 degrees. After Halloween, our grocery store was selling pumpkins, I think for $4. That was 1 cup of pumpkin puree going in. $4 for a huge pumpkin. That is the most frugal food purchase ever. That is so much food for $4 when you get a whole big pumpkin. So we're just mixing all that up. Now, I had made this the day before and put in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and 2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, but I felt that, although delicious, I felt that we could handle having more of both of those flavors. So this time around, I used 3 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice and 3 teaspoons of cinnamon. And you do it to taste, whatever you think's going to work, but I say the more the merrier. Then we're going to put in a cup of chopped up walnuts and a cup of dried cranberries. You could use raisins. I've done it with raisins. It's delightful with raisins. You could use different nuts too, though I wouldn't recommend chopped peanuts because they have, too specific a flavor, but you could use chopped hazelnuts or pecans. You could. You don't have to do the nuts and the dried fruit. I just think it's just better, and it gives it a very old-fashioned, cozy, homey pumpkin bread kind of vibe. Obviously, same batter for making muffins, and then they, of course, would cook faster. But in your loaf pan at 350, I would say bake between 50 and 60 minutes, the 55-minute range, depending on, I don't know. I think my oven tends to be a little bit on the low side. Yes, you butter your loaf pan. put your batter in, you bake it. It's the most delicious thing ever. It really is unbelievable. It is so, so, so good. Now I know that you're noticing those pumpkins on the table, those pumpkin lanterns. What's that about? Well, I cooked 2 of the pumpkins, and they became the pumpkin puree and the canned pumpkin. Then I took these 2 other pumpkins, and I turned them into lanterns. I'll show you that in just a second, while this pumpkin bread is baking. And it's just sort of a demonstration of a lantern you can do. It's, you can do better. I did it really, really fast, actually. I was rushing, so I'd have something to show you, but you could do better than I did. So I cut the bottom off the pumpkin instead of cutting around the stem. I'd never done this before. I saw it on Instagram, so I thought I'd give it a try. And I thought it worked well for the lantern effect. I removed, of course, all the seeds and the guts, the little scrape out. I ended up roasting the pumpkin seeds. I put some, what did I put on them? Some soy sauce and some avocado oil and some salt, and roasted them in the oven. My oven heats really unevenly and as I've said, a little bit on the low side. And so they kind of burn in the back corner. But anyway, my oven cooks unevenly. All right, so the second pumpkin, same deal. Scoop out the seeds, give it a scrapey scrape. That's the pumpkin I grew. I grew myself in my own garden. It's the only and best pumpkin I've ever managed to grow. Oh, that's why I'm saving the seeds. So I'm not roasting those seeds. I'm saving those seeds for next year's garden. And just from that one pretty little pumpkin, I got that whole little container of seeds. Holly, shush. So I sketched some triangles on the pumpkin because I'm trying to make the lantern look like little Christmas trees. And the drill I had in mind was a lot smaller, and the drill bit I had in mind was a lot smaller. But I told Frugal Daddy I needed to use a drill, and that's what he brought me. So I thought, all right, he must think this is appropriate for drilling holes in a pumpkin. But yeah, the holes were pretty big, and I really wasn't taking my time, so I didn't do a great job. But it's just an idea, just a suggestion for the more artistic to do something better than I did with a smaller drill and a smaller drill bit. I'd recommend. But still, it's fun and it's cute. And now that it's actually cold out, we can put our pumpkin lanterns out on the front step and put a candle in them at night. And it's just a cute little Christmas decoration now. They're Christmas lanterns. Okay, so then when I put the drill down on the table, it hadn't completely stopped spinning yet, and it pulled the tablecloth all around the drill bit, so I had to unwind it like that. That was a big dramatic moment, and it didn't tear the little tablecloth at all, and that's just some cheap little kind of, plastic coated picnic table tablecloth. Anyway, that was a dramatic moment for us all. So the second lantern is just a bunch of holes. Just lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of holes. Just a little lantern, a shiny little lantern next to the Christmas tree lantern. Anything shiny is fun and festive. All right, I realized we didn't do a taste test, and almost the whole loaf of pumpkin bread's gone. It's the next day. But I snagged a piece, I warmed it up. It's not for you. It's not for you. If I do say so myself. Ooh la la. This is amazing. Thanks for watching, Pumpkarinos. We'll see you again soon. Call me crazy. I love it.